Chapter 7, of Crushes and Whatnots. Quila Tash. The days went by as though each one would never end. Sometimes, I forget to smile because Arden would spend a lot of his time with Goemi and her long legs. I hate her. What did Arden see in that leggy girl aside from her legs? Nothing, because her legs were covered with her long skirt. But to be fair to her, I remembered feeling envious when we took a bath together 2 days ago, and there I saw her long, shapely legs. I stared at mine, which in their own way, were shapely, like upturned pears. This jealousy is driving me so insane. At first, I could not point the finger at what it was that I was feeling. But when I heard Arden laugh about something Goemi said, which to my ears sounded silly, mind you, I literally felt my blood curdle. Arden was trying to replace me. Maybe he has stopped loving me. I blinked back my tears and flopped on the ground beside Miro. I stared at the boy with messy hair and began a conversation. "I hate your sister," I said. Miro stopped drawing circles on the ground as though he understood. "She's not even beautiful, and yet, Arden is so taken by her. Why? For the love of gods, why?" I almost yelled in despair. Miro stirred right beside me. "Feelings," he said. "Yeah, right? Feelings. Talk to me about it," I said sullenly as I watched Arden and Goemi engage in conversation. I used to think that when I grew up, I would end up with Arden. He's been kind to me. And he's amazing, do you know that? Not because of his power, but because he's... I don't know. Maybe you won't understand me at all. But I think that growing up, I was always inspired to become a better person because of him. Isn't that love? Miro blinked and giggled and yet said nothing, which irritated me further. "Look at them. Your sister is flirting with Arden. He's the only one I have. What will happen to me if he decides to leave me to be with Goemi?" I asked. "And if Goemi decides to run away with Arden, then you, Nia, and I would be stuck with each other." Miro tensed, and for a fleeting moment, I thought I saw some traces of lunacy in his eyes. He looked concerned, but it was gone so soon that I might have just imagined it. "See, I'll end up staying with you and Nia. And I can't even talk to you about anything. You sit there like a two-moon-turned toddler," I sighed. "We're such losers." Miro kept on staring at Arden. Then his eyes would fall upon his sister's, then back at Arden's again. Finally, he spoke. "Heart," he said. "Yeah, tell me." "Heart. Love. Of course, they're falling in love if they're not already." I was so frustrated. Look at them smiling so sweetly at each other. Arden never even looked at me like that. All he ever did was ruffle my hair and call me chum. "Well, big news, I'm a girl too," I complained. "Pretty girl," Miro said as though to pacify me. I frowned even more. If I were pretty, Arden would have spent his time with me instead, I insisted. Then to make matters worse, Arden reached out to hold Goemi's hands. The flirty girl blushed. Ugh. I hated her even more. "Look at them," I told Miro. Then to Arden, I shouted, "We're hungry over here. I thought we were supposed to hunt?" Arden quickly dropped Goemi's hands, but he was still smiling when he turned to look at me. "Oh, sorry. Come on, chum," he said gaily. "Let's hit the woods." As though we were not in the woods yet. I seethed. I stood up and stomped my feet all the way to where they were. "Hello, Quila," Goemi said, smiling from ear to ear. Insincerely, most likely. "Hello to you too," I said stone-faced, using my coldest voice. Arden reached out to ruffle my hair, and my dark tresses fell across my face. I flailed and pushed his hand away. "Quit it. I'm not in the mood," I yelled. "I'm a grown woman, for God's sake." Then I darted away from him. Arden chuckled. When I turned to look back at him, he leaned towards Goemi, kissing her on the cheeks. And the pink-faced Goemi was positively beaming. "Hurry!" I shouted. Arden laughed good-naturedly. "Right after you, chum." Chum, chum, chum. That was all I'd ever be. If not for our friendship and those golden locks, I swear I would have started my own circus show alone. Ha! And then he would beg me to be in my shows. Chill, Quila, I told myself. Chill. The only way I could get to Arden alone was if we were back in the Loondu market. Maybe, Nia and the twins would not tag along. I knew Arden's most passionate dream, and perhaps I could use that to make him forget Goemi. How are we doing with the gold coins? I asked as we walked in the woods. What? He asked. He was still smiling stupidly, and it seemed as though his thoughts were not ready for hunting. The gold coins, I said glumly, how are we doing with them? Oh, he said. Nothing has been added since we stayed in the woods. No one will enjoy our show here. Why do you even ask? And yet night after night, you perform, I said mockingly. What's going to happen to our dream if we keep on hiding here? He paused, peering over a moving prey a few yards away from us. He threw his dagger, and a wild duck fell. All right, maybe I was wrong when I concluded that his head was not yet back to hunting. I thought you said you wanted to take a vacation. That's what we're doing here, he said casually. You're the only one enjoying this vacation, Arden, I said. Play with Miro. He's a delight, he said absent-mindedly before walking towards the wild duck and pulling his dagger from the animal. Blood gushed out. A delight? I said. Do you even know what you're saying? All the boy ever does is drool. Though you have to admit that you enjoy presenting your puppet shows to him, he said. Because I love doing shows. He laughed. Cheer up, chum, he said. We'll still have the circus. Don't worry. When? When we're 1,000 moon turns already. He stopped in his tracks. No, he said thoughtfully. The sooner we get more gold coins, the sooner we will realize our plans. Which means that we have to get back to Loondu Market, right? He said. He bent down to grab the wild duck, tying its legs, before tossing it to me. Some of the blood splattered on my face. Disgusting. I scrubbed the blood off my face in annoyance. Easy, Quila. Relax, all right. We'll have the circus show. And have the best traveling show in all of Akean. When do you see that happening exactly? I said. He stopped again, considering. I like it here, he mumbled. Then he crouched down behind the bushes and looked for another prey. Why? Because. Of her? He paused before answering, yes. I like Goemi. It felt like my heart was breaking into 1,000 smoldering pieces. I wanted to cry right where I stood. Oh. All right, was all I managed to say. Cheer up, chum. You'll like her too. I seriously doubt it, I wanted to tell him. Let's go back to the marketplace and perform, I said, trying to make my voice sound happy. It ended up sounding too shrilly, even for me. You're speaking in high tones again, he admonished. It breaks my eardrums. He threw his dagger again, and this time, a deer fell. Come on, I pushed. Maybe I was playing this all wrong. I decided to change my tactics. Let's save up more gold coins. The sooner we start with the circus, the sooner we can help Nia and Miro and, I paused for effect, Goemi more. He turned to look at me. His eyes searched mine. You have a point there, chum, he said. I beamed. So, when are we leaving? He bent down to pick up the deer, which looked to be heavy. When he stood up, he smiled and said, tomorrow. We'll get more coins, and soon enough, we'll travel together. I was ecstatic. Never mind that Arden wanted to travel with Goemi. At least I would have a few days, or weeks even, alone with Arden. That, for me, will always be enough.